do it to yourself, you do. That's why it hurts. You do it to yourself, just you.
Rachel Breslin, I'm the Welfare Vice President and I'm 20 years old.
Okay, what do you feel your biggest accomplishments during the year?
I think my biggest accomplishment during the year, there are two main ones in terms of projects, like, because a lot of this is about my manifesto. My biggest accomplishments would be the taxi scheme and getting that set up, and then secondly the college dinners scheme, which is going to launch in a few weeks, and that was something that wasn't in my manifesto, but it arose during the year, something that would be a really good idea. And in terms of the work that went into both of them and kind of the challenges that were presented and getting over those have to be really big accomplishments.
The dinners, is that in association with Kyle Moore?
No, oh sorry, it's the Clever Cuisine, so it's 4 meals for €10 for every week.
Okay. And what do you feel were your biggest failings during the year?
I guess the things that I most kind of wish that went differently are the Republic of Leafs gig that was on Mental Health Day. It's kind of the one thing that I look back on my year as something that could have been different and probably shouldn't have happened, but it's the one thing that I really look back and say and kind of I suppose regret that it happened, and regret that it happened in the way that it did, and that would be the number one thing.
Okay. Where have you made cuts in order to deal with budget restrictions this year?
We've made cuts. I've made cuts pretty much across the board in every aspect. So everything you think of with regards to welfare. So the campaigns, every campaign has been done on an absolute shoestring. I'm trying to think, like, say mental health, which was one of the biggest campaigns, Mental Health Week, was done probably on less than a fifth of the budget from what I can see last year. And it's not to say that there was ridiculous amounts spent last year, but it was the fact that every single expense had to be looked at as whether it could be justified.
Even last week on the front page of the Observer, you know, it's becoming more and more evident that there are serious issues with RES. Have you achieved your goals in relation to RES? For example, lowering fines, organising a residents' association with quarterly meetings, and perhaps most notably now, making those overseeing RES accountable to the Academic Council for Campus Life?
That's one thing that is very much ongoing. There have been a lot of recent developments in that. I've been frustrated all the way along with residences, because there are a lot of very small issues that I would deal with almost on a daily basis with residences, and what I felt straight away was that beyond my manifesto there were issues with residences. So we did a residential report and got a lot of feedback on that, and I've been using that to try and push going forward with the things that need to be done. We made a report, which was something that the welfare officer next year can look at and as a reference to what they need to do on residences. But in terms of concrete achievements on residences, the quarterly RA residential meetings are in the new constitution. The residence officer has to do that, so that will happen. And then this year we had, the reason why I didn't do the quarterly ones is because the report took about 9 or 10 meetings, so it was kind of like a condensed focus group one. I didn't want to get everyone over and back and keep discussing the same issues when we'd done such a thorough report then. But I think holding them to task is an ongoing process. I think there have been recent developments on it. I want to work with residences, but I do feel that there are issues to be resolved there, and that there needs to be a better relationship and a better proactive effort from residences to work with the SC.
Well, hold on now. Not to say that this isn't exclusively your area. It's also very much falls under the auspices of the President and CNC. But at the same time, yes, you've said that you've known about the filming on RES since the summer, and action is only happening now with a couple of weeks left to go in the year.
The summer, myself and Pat met separately with the manager of residences and asked him, was there filming taking place? And he said there had been a trial period, but that it wasn't happening now. And then we had no communication from residences that it was happening, and it came in just by students going, I think they had a camera as well, or I think that this was, and it was kind of drips and drabs that said maybe there was some filming going on, and it was only recently we've been able to get concrete evidence of it. We talked to the governing authority about it recently, and that's how it's being dealt with.
Okay.
Do you think it will be possible to make those overseeing res accountable to the academic council?
Yes, I think that they'll be accountable to academic council, and there will also be a more vigilant overall from other areas of management in the university, because we flagged these issues recently.
Accountable to what degree though? Because I mean,
Yeah.
it's been described by the SU president as a human rights.
Oh
issue,
yeah,
and
we want to set up the residences committee again, which existed a few years ago, and that was looking at it this year and seeing the way that the systems in the university operate, that is definitely the best way to make residences accountable, because there's people from all areas of the university, people who have the line management of residences, who are able to make changes. And it also has students' representation, so I definitely think that that's the best way to do it, and I think that we'll achieve that before next September.
Would you call for the resignation of the head of residences?
No, I think that there needs to be a lot of work done, but I think that we can work with residences. There's still time to do that. There's still time to do that. And make these changes and reverse the cameras issue, because that needs to be stopped straight away. But resignation is not something that I think I could stand over. I think we should make more of an effort to work together and more of an effort to make changes.
Well, hold on. If it's a human rights violation, why are you not able to stand over the person who perpetrated it having to resign?
We're telling them to stop, and I think that that's the number one thing. We certainly think it should stop. But it is not once that happens, and then they endeavour to deal with other issues that arise. I mean, I don't think that issues in the past have been dealt with correctly, but I think that we can change that, and I think that there still is scope with the current management structure in residences to make the changes as they happen if they communicate better with us, and I think that process is ongoing, and I think with the residences committee it will happen, and it will have to happen, and that's as good of a mechanism of checks and balances, and it's better than asking for the resignation of someone, because it's better to hold someone to account rather than to asking for their resignation, certainly.
You withdrew the 1,000 condoms, 1,000 stories scheme. What did you hope to achieve with that project, and why do you think it didn't go according to plan?
Yes, I don't think, well, it wasn't withdrawn. The thing about it is there were still, the condoms were given out, more than 1,000 in fact, because there were so many people coming looking for them. The website still existed, it was called 1000condoms.com. The reason why they weren't numbered is because I wanted this. I have loads of campaigns on the year. I had one campaign either day or week, every week in the first semester, and it wasn't possible for me to maintain a campaign, maintain momentum on a sexual health campaign right through the first semester, which would be necessary if we were going to number the condoms, because we'd have to keep encouraging people to say, you know, like to submit their fee, what happened, or their story. And what was the second part of that?
Why do you think it didn't go according to plan?
Yeah, I think the biggest problem with the scheme was I'm trying to think, I think that the scheme itself worked in a way, because people did engage with it, people were talking about sexual health, and it did normalise like some of the bad experience. There are bad experiences on there, like that would be typically considered bad experience, but it made them seem that that's okay, that sex isn't what it is always in movies. I think that some of the accounts were too perhaps stereotypical of being laddish behaviour or showing off. So I think perhaps if I was to do something like that again, I would accompany it with more sexual health information, more education classes. But I think the notion itself, and what I wanted to achieve with that, was that it's okay for you to receive the condom and not have sex. That it's okay for you to have sex and not think back like that was so, you know, the candles and thing that you see in movies, and it's or to read about people who, or there's this notion in universities that everyone's having one night stands or something like that, and that's not true. And to show that that isn't happening as well, that people are waiting. And it was to really show that anything is okay with regards to sex. And
Yeah, I've got that. I'll go ahead, Kate.
Can I take that?
Yeah.
In fairness, I don't think that really came across, this notion that you can take a condom and still not have sex. Do you not feel that encouraging students to tell stories of having sex, plus
no, I'm listening. Sorry.
okay, plus say having a video highlighting, even in jest, that these are all the different places where people are having sex. Do you not feel that that as such puts students under pressure to have sex, to think that it's the norm rather than educates them about the importance of safe sex?
No. The simple answer to that is no. This was the card that was given out with all the condoms when we gave them out that day for that campaign. And it says, tell us about your safe ride. Use this condom after pulling in the student bar, ? Things got hot on a romantic night in, ? So then the third option is put it in your wallet and still waiting for the right time. Anytime we've ever had a sexual health campaign, anytime ever condoms have been given out in the past, there hasn't been any sort of information like that. You don't have to use it. You know,
That's a
we're
very
taking
small
that
aspect
into
of
account.
it, though, in fairness.
We're
That's
taking
one
it
line
into
on a
account.
small card.
So do
There
you
have
think-
always been
so
condoms been given out, and there's always been sexual health campaigns. And I'll be kind of pretty firm in this. There has to be a sexual health campaign. And the elements of Shag Week, I've said with the condom scheme, could it be accompanied with more if it were it to be accompanied with more workshops and classes, I do think that would be a good idea. Definitely I do. I suppose the thing about it was quite hastily organised because it was in the first semester and we'd never done a sexual health campaign in the first semester. And then, but for Shag Week, we did run the classes. We did have the information stands in 2 buildings around from like Mary Stopes, and we ran the workshop with Dr. Siobhan O'Higgins, and that was very much along the lines of it is perfectly okay to wait, and that sex is to be something that you are entirely comfortable with.
We're not suggesting for a second that there shouldn't be a sexual health campaign. That's one of the main remits of welfare. What I would put to you, however, is that it would be there have been summations that the reason the condoms weren't numbered had nothing to do with a logistical problem, but because there was a subtextual pressure put on students to use their condom as quickly as they got it. The second thing I would put to you is that the website that was constructed was a long way from a nurturing environment to share experiences of sexual, sexual issues or bad sex or anything else. It was it was in a lot of cases very crude and misogynistic, message board. That's where my opinion would differ from yours. How do you respond to that?
What was the first part of this? Sorry.
The first part is that the condoms weren't not
numbered,
because
for the subsection. The main reason was the logistical one of how long it would take for the campaign to carry on. Of course, and I think there was a suggestion beforehand that by numbering them we could be kind of in subtextually or subconsciously kind of and by keeping the campaign, we would have to keep the campaign running for a very long time to justify the numbers, because it would have to show that we want this campaign to go on for a long time, so there is no pressure for you to have sex.
If you had to give yourself a rating out of 10, how well do you feel you've done this year?
I think that that's really a difficult question. I think that's very, that should be up to the students. I would give myself a 7.5. I think that there are things that I would love to take on that I don't feel that I had the time to do this year. But I certainly would think I've done a good job. I've really loved it. I've learned so much from this year. I would be incredibly sad to leave this office. It's been a great year and a great opportunity, and I do feel like I've always been there for the students.
You do it to yourself.